This is gonna be bumpy.
So onto the real part of the video. Just for reference, the background footage here is of Liv Krakow, and this is High Challenger Korea. Ride in 11.8 gave Rumble an interesting little buff to try and shift his identity away from this roaming battle mage in mid lane into more of an AP brawler, giving him some MR shred and skirmishing ability when overheated. They wanted him to be able to contend with bruisers and tanks in top lane, but I think he does it a little better in the jungle. Rumble absolutely shreds camps once he gets level 3, and he does it pretty healthily with Vamp from his jungle item and just his shield. He's also borderline Olaf tier of level 3 power spike when he gets overheated, so you don't want to try to 1v1 this guy in river early game, and he can usually full clear before Scuttle spawns. I think another point of strength worth mentioning is Rumble's ult cooldown early. Rumble only has a 100-second rank 1 cooldown on his ult, so after you use it on a gank, you can safely return to your jungle, clear top to bottom or bottom to top, and then your ult's going to be back off cooldown and you can either gank or reset and re-gank the initial lane if summoners were used. Also, just being able to drop Equalizer from Fog of War to start a gank really makes it difficult to escape. It's just a pretty insane gank assist tool. It kind of circumvents any need for a gap closer when ganking, and you can either be the setup or your lanes can set you up so that you can land an ult on top. I think it's also worth commenting on just overall how Rumble doesn't exactly work the same way as he used to. Gone are the days where 5-man equalizers really melted through a team, and it's too rewarding to get in their face and brawl and to land auto attacks. A big part of that is, the loss of Leandries, right? So Rumble now wants to use his ult more as zone control, try and cut people off so that he can get onto the back line. He mostly specializes in early skirmishes before the enemy can itemize against him. Early dragon fights are where he thrives, as there are a lot of nice choke points for the enemy to walk through. In terms of items, you have your choice of Night Harvester or Rocket Belt. I think Magic Pen is probably his best mythic passive, but the Night Harvester active is just a really nice burst damage to his ult. I think either are fine, and it's more of an in-game decision on whether you think you need to dive more with the Rocket Belt active or you want more damage on your ult with Night Harvester. But in general, neither are really great options. I think if Riftmaker ever becomes decent, or if Leandries ever gets changed in a way that makes it viable on him again, they'd probably be way better options. For runes, it's going to be Dark Harvest. There is this one guy who's D1 on Korea who always goes Phase Rush, but I don't know about that. Dark Harvest plus Night Harvester actually adds quite a bit of burst damage and can help chunk out some squishy targets if you land a good ult. And then Cheap Shot, you get a lot of reliable damage from that. Eyeball Collector, either Ravenous or Alt Hunter. I probably prefer Alt Hunter though. Secondary is Nimbus Cloak and Water Walking. Nimbus Cloak is really nice just when you smite someone to get that burst of MS, or if you flash in. And then Water Walking just for river skirmishing. For the build, these are both good build path. You can swap in Rocket Belt, but early Alternator plus Sorks is a really strong 3-item power spike, and then you can choose what to go afterwards. You'll notice a priority on Void and early Sorks, because Rumble has such high base damages. You'll want to prioritize Pen to try and negate early MR. Zonias is also really strong. You can queue through Zonias, and so you can use it to zone people and buy space for your team, as well as normal Zonias, things like saving you in a pinch. So in terms of early clearing, level Q and a W and a E, on a lot of characters like Hecarim, you'll level Q twice because you don't need to gank right away and you're gonna be power farming to level 4, so you'd rather get that bonus damage. But with Rumble, you actually just want that additional heat generation from being able to spam out E. You want to be able to position yourself on your first clear to hit all of the camps with your Q and then kite while it's on cooldown. But after your initial clear, you'll notice that you don't really have any problems just face tanking camps. So you only really need to focus on kiting for that initial clear. If you take one thing away from this video, is that you can kill Blue and Gromp at the same time on almost any champ with AoE damage, so you can just do that to save time. Also, trying to steal or fight over enemy raptors. Anytime I'm without camps to farm and there's no side lanes to gank and I'm just kind of like around mid, you can just peek in and see if the raptors are up. For most meta junglers, raptors are a really nice tempo play that you can just kind of obliterate them and you're still around mid and you can either go bot or whatever. So denying raptors just kind of helps slow down the enemy from their power spikes and just keeps you slightly ahead. And if the enemy does contest, Rumble is just a great 2v2er, and there's a lot of choke points around Raptors, so it's just a great mini objective to try and force fights over when you're at a stronger or advantageous position. Another thing to add is that there's just a hidden Rumble mechanic with how his heat generation applies. For his Q and W, they both apply that 20 heat instantly, but his E is actually slightly delayed. So when you're at 90 heat, you can actually E and then use your Q right after, and you can get both of them off before overheating because the E heat generation is slightly delayed. But I think that's going to be it. Final thoughts, I think Rumble in general just kind of fits into the meta of early skirmishing power farm junglers really well. He can keep pace with even the, fastest farming junglers like Hecarim or Udyr. His biggest weakness is definitely his scaling, because he can't default into a tank, right? You'll kind of find it hard later to deal damage to people when they spec into defenses and lifesteal or regen. But at that point, you'll hope that you can mostly just kind of be follow-up damage or terrain control. And if you want to help me with the algorithm, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.